that you're looking for in a destination, you can find it in downtown Durant.
A city whose economic development is an ongoing success story, driven by the spirit of community-wide collaboration. Discover Durant, Oklahoma.
He's bright orange today, isn't he?
Look at that.
Showing my colors.
You got to. That's right. Do it when you can, right?
I do it.
Call meeting to order. All right, if you stand, we'll have a flag salute and invocation. Charles, would you lead us in invocation?
Father, thank you again for this time together as a body that's looking to make the right decisions for our community. We thank you for the ability to do that, and we thank you for this community, and I ask that you be with our representatives in Washington and the ones that are elected here in the state and here at home. To be with them as they make their decisions. We ask these things in Jesus' name for our sake. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
She's over there.
I know.
They playing hide the flag.
If it'd been a snake, it would have bitten us, wouldn't it?
Yeah. All right, someone like to volunteer as secretary, since their secretary's not here.
Could we ask Jennifer to do
Yeah.
that?
Jennifer?
Okay.
I'll come up here so I have a mic.
You don't have to stand.
Well, so I have a mic.
Oh, okay. She hadn't been paying us down.
Oh, gosh. Trustee Anthony is absent. Trustee Calhoun,
Here.
Trustee Cross,
Here.
Trustee Shattuck,
Present.
Trustee Thorpe is absent. Vice Chairman Reed,
Here.
Chairman Scher.
Here. All right. First order of business is discuss and consider approval of the minutes of the meeting in October. Is there any discussion?
Motion to accept the minutes as read.
All right. If you'll call the roll, Jennifer.
Trustee Calhoun,
I abstain, I wasn't here.
okay. Trustee Cross,
Yes.
Trustee Shattuck,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Reed,
Yes.
Chairman Scher.
Yes. Financial reports, Jeff, you have a report.
Yes, financial, or tax revenues for October were 40,307. That would be on page 5. That's kind of the main thing on that one. A little bit lower this month compared to the last two, but still higher than July, so we'll take it. If you look at page 13, this kind of gives you a breakdown of kind of where we started the quarter and then where we're at this point, with an estimated funds balance available for budget 11/23 at $751,656.04. You can also see on there the expense items that have been encumbered this last, for September, October, and then part of November. So I know Jennifer wanted to bring up an item on our budget to possibly revise based off of our current expenses and such. So Jennifer, you want to go ahead and do that, you can.
Sure. So you'll see on page 9, under other expenses, are promotions, advertising, and sponsorship. Just with the increase in activity from the fall concert series and Christmas activities and everything else, we have already expended that budget, so we are requesting a budget amendment to increase that budget to get us through spring activities. And that's at the authority's
Jennifer,
discretion.
Just a question on that. On that, and I believe a large portion of that is the concert series. But we were going to utilize 50 out of last year's budget and 50 out of this year's budget.
And they did do the transfer from last year's budget
Okay.
into this year's budget.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're asking then for an additional addendum with that also?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Do you have the itemized expenses on that,
For the
Project.
fall concert
for
series,
that project?
we do not on that one yet. We are still kind of finalizing all of the final, excuse me.
I personally feel like we ought to have that.
We will. We-
Before we approve,
Well, that is in there. If you look on the expenses, it's in there.
where,
On page, I just saw it, Charlie. Let me flip.
Page 13 has our itemized of the last few
Yeah.
months.
And then
but you don't have it by.
By the series itself?
By the
No,
project.
sir.
Well, the only thing is out of that, that's not the project, would be the chamber management fee.
What,
Everything that's on there, Charlie, flip it over, let me show you. This is the entire expense with the exception of this, and this is the management fee for the chamber.
well, that's not everything on the, she said that it was the, concert series that we ran up expenses on, and I'm,
It was the 100,000 that went to overdrive, and I do have a report on that because they had money left over. And when we get to that, I will tell you exactly, I don't have a line item on those expenses, but I will tell you exactly what they have left over, and they will present a line item with that. But we need to let them know what to do with the money, to return it or carry it over.
I'm just personal, I would like to see it itemized, since it's our big expenditure. and-
Okay, I think that's fair
It and
enough.
the Christmas activities, I mean, just what we have expended as far as promotions are all from this account. It's not just from the fall concert series, it's just we've added so much more this year that we have gone over. I mean, we include in this account any of the ads we take out in magazines and different stuff like that.
Is it itemized as such?
Not
not on here.
on here, because we do it by month.
I think since we're already asking for more money,
Okay,
and quite a bit,
okay,
we ought to have it.
we can do that.
It should be, that's a pretty easy one there,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
For next month, can we have that?
Yeah, we can do that.
That's all I got.
So, is
That's all
this,
I had for the financial report, if you have any questions.
all right, number 3, the budget amendment, I guess that will be
No action.
no action or put, tabled, which,
We could table it or just put it on there next.
no action, okay, no
Yeah.
action, all right. Okay, number 4, review of the fall concert series.
Okay. Last month, we gave you
Is there a
the,
page in there to go?
that was last month. We gave you that rundown on the numbers last month, and that was in last month's report. There was one additional concert, which yielded about 800. We had to bring the concert in from the outdoors due to the wind that we had. Overdrive Entertainment did call me and let me know that they had came in under budget, and they have approximately $1,900 that are left over, and asked me what to do, and I said, let me bring it back to the committee. They said that they could either write a check and refund it, or that they could hold it over until next year if we planned on doing this again. So we will have to put that in as a line item next time, because you need to make up your mind, how you would like to do that. But we'll put that in as a line item
I think
next
we need to
time.
make the decision unless y'all made it last time. I didn't see it in there, that we're gonna do it again.
That would be my suggestion, but, yeah, I don't think we voted on it as a,
We didn't vote,
yeah.
but we talked, kind
Yeah, we talked about it.
Well, we should have a vote on that. That's a big item.
Well, let's wait, let's wait until next month, Charlie, and we'll get the itemized list from Overdrive Entertainment. And then we'll decide on what to do with the balance that they have left over,
Sounds
if that's
good.
okay with you.
Sounds fine with me. Just as long as we know what we're doing.
And that expense was on there, it was on page 11. And beginning balances, it showed the concert production. There was 50,000 there, and then there was 50,000 in the July.
This was on what page?
11,
Page 11.
it's on the very, very bottom there. Right there. Look at it, and got the 50,000 up at the top
Okay.
on that.
So do we have to wait on that to decide whether or not we're gonna take the money back or let them keep it?
We don't have that on as a line item, so I would say we'd probably need to wait and, yeah, and, until next month, until we get the itemized list that Charlie's requested, and then
Okay.
you can make a decision at that time on what to do with it. The concert series was very successful. We're going to have numbers to kind of validate that from our marketing report, which will be given in just a few minutes, unless you'd rather hear the marketing report now. And I think he's prepared to present that. Jeremy? This is Jeremy Spence, and Jeremy he has been hired as contract with the chamber to work directly with marketing. And he has helped tremendously with the concert series. He is working through the chamber, but of course, we're putting on a large portion of that for the concert series and trying to bring those numbers up. And I think you're going to be impressed with that. So with y'all's permission, Chairman, if we could move that
Sure.
up
Sure.
to go ahead. Jeremy needs to leave early, so this will.
Make them wait.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that, and thank you guys for allowing me to speak today. So the. Oh. So the last time I spoke with you guys, I had just taken over doing marketing and helping with some of those items. So this is really just the 2 months since I've been in. What I did was accumulate over the last 2 months. There's really been 3 main channels that all have kind of gone to grow, tourism related effects events to the Durant area. One of them being Discover Durant, the other one being the Durant Chamber, and the other one being Magnolia Christmas Fest. So I broke down numbers for all 3 of those. I'll give you the Discover Durant numbers first. And then if you guys would like, give you the accumulated total for all of those 3 channels in the last 2 months, and then some insights that we've learned from that really do bolster what Discover Durant is doing.
Does everyone have a handout that, I think Jennifer gave you those, yeah.
There should be a social media marketing report across the top there. Perfect, okay. Everybody got that there? So the first one we'll look at there is actually the second cluster of the Discover Durant, which was the fall concert series. And we can see there that our people reach. These are our 3 our key performance indicators. And that first number is the people reach. This means that people actually stopped and looked at one of our posts. The next item down there is post engagement. That means they actually clicked the link that we had. They clicked a reference to something we had, either to another website or to another event or venue details. And then the last one is like, shares, or comments. And this really is what people, how they reacted, how they responded to stuff. So with Discover Durant, over that period of 2 months there, we reached over 34,950. We got 952 people reached. Our post engagement, which this is a phenomenal statistic to have this kind of ratio of people that reached to people that engaged the post, that's a really good, that's about 30% higher than any national marketing average. So that's a really good number for us, 4,551. And then our like, shares, and comments was 728. Now, if you look to the side of each of these, the Discover Durant was primarily the fall concert series. Our Durant Chamber was winter events and local events, things that we have going on around town that attract people regionally as well as locally. And then the Magnolia Christmas Festival, again, was that's a community event, but we did get some good reach there as well. So overall total, in the last 2 months, we have reached over 140,000 people. That's a lot of eyes that are seeing about what great things are going on in Durant. And I think that does fall in line with what Discover Durant is doing and what the Board of Tourism is really doing. We reached over 17,000 people. I got 17,799 actually engaged in a post. That means they took action and clicked on something. And then our likes, shares, and comments was 4,363. So what all these numbers mean. And kind of going through and looking at the insights that we have available to us and the data we have available to us, at the very bottom, these were really 5 things that became pretty clear. The first thing, which I think will impress the board the most, is that all of this growth, all of this reach, all of these people that we saw and engaged with, this was all done organically, which means it cost $0. This was just strategic efforts, and that goes into number 2. Our outreach and partnering with other regional communities, reaching out to chambers of commerce, reaching out to the most active social groups in those communities. And those are all communities in North Texas, Northern Louisiana, Southwest Arkansas, as well as Oklahoma. That really got us a lot of pull because we're tapping into their pipeline of their followers and their people that they're sharing stuff with. So that's what's allowed this growth to happen really exponentially with no, really no funding. What helped build that, though, was the foundation through our traditional media that the Chamber and Discover Durant has already done. So those media efforts, those marketing efforts are what help bolster the social media outreach. That and, kind of knowing what we're doing here. So we were able to really tap into a few things, and that was what was really great is by partnering with local assets and posting more captive images, getting people out of their houses. That's what the local community really saw the engagement from. We got more of a visual feel of what it's like to be in Durant, what it's like to experience these events and getting people to want to come here. I know each of us here that were at the concert series could tell you somebody that was over 150 miles away that came to one of those concerts. We had people from Lubbock, we had people from Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Arkansas. I mean, we had folks coming from pretty far regions to come here. So we've got something good here, and we're telling a good story.
I'd like to make a comment that people that you normally wouldn't think would even notice or comment about it it's been a sizable number, have told me, what's going on downtown? There's a lot more people down there.
I can attest to that today. Driving over here today, I had to run, and I had to take Arkansas all the way through because Main Street and all that community, that neighborhood was trafficked. It was full. So there are a lot of people getting out about and doing things. I think that's twofold. Number one, you guys host a great community here. You have great events, and you have good people that support those events, and we're just visually telling that story, I think, a little bit better on our social media, and that's what's getting those people that miss those events wanting to come out and participate. After looking at all this, what we found, and that's why I broke the numbers down with the events that went to them, one thing else became clear is that folks here are each of these brands, Discover Durant, Chamber, and Magnolia Festival itself, have built a loyal following. You may have the same person that follows the Chamber, Discover Durant, and Magnolia Christmas Festival, but they will react in kind to the event that is sponsoring, what organization that's sponsoring that event. So like the fall concert series, people that follow the Chamber didn't go to the Chamber to get their info. They went to Discover Durant. Magnolia Christmas Fest, they didn't go to the Chamber or Discover Durant. They went to Magnolia Christmas Fest. So those social media channels have really good ingrained loyal following. And what we want to do from that, now that we've got a good understanding of how those people are interacting with us and engaging with us, we want to try to emulate that and do that same thing in other regional communities. And if we can compel those folks to come our way, then that means more tax dollars, and again, more revenue for the city, and I think that's the end result here. And one of the best ways I see doing that is leveraging the assets that the Chamber has built. They really have a good foundation that gives us a good mouthpiece to start with, and we need to bring more followers over to these other channels like Discover Durant. But that's not just a social media thing. That's why a lot of other marketing efforts, our traditional marketing, as well as more digital marketing, is going to be kind of essential in 22 in order to continue that growth. So we've got a good start here, and we've done it for We've been able to experiment with very little cost, and now that we've got a good formula, I think leveraging that in 22 will bring more eyes, more engagement, and more people to the community.
Jeremy, real quickly, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I thought I had that other document with me that you had presented last month, we saw an increase of over 321% on the Discover Durant website. I'm sorry, not website, but through the social media, the 3 social medias that we post on. And that was during the concert series as opposed to earlier, which would have been June and July. So it definitely, the social media helps tremendously. And our goal, hopefully, is to get them to like that and share it, because each time they share it, you're getting it into another social media, into the hands of someone else in that social media contact.
And you are correct. There were 2 percentages there. The people reached was up by 321%. The engagement, people that actually did something with the information we were posting, went up 900, and I'm just good with numbers, that's why I can remember these things, 984% increase. I mean, that really is impressive. People took the time to stop and actually take action on their phone, and that's a good number right there. That's a good number.
On Discover Durant, is this a total amount of clicks, or is this just the clicks that goes through the fall concert service?
This was primarily, there were a few little informational like posts in there that I didn't include in this number. So this is predominantly, I would say percentage-wise, about 90% is fall concert series related. The other 10% is other community. It was more informational posts.
Jeremy is currently working on doing some individual Instagram posts and also posting on Facebook and other social media outlets. Just Things, shopping downtown, Pink Friday, he did some photos of that. This weekend, he took photos and posted those as well, which is, we're trying to pull people into the feel of what community is about. And with the posts that he's doing, it's definitely helping in that respect, which I think is bleeding over into the number of people that we have seen in our community in the last month. Because there has been an increase, of course, this holiday season, and that's a good time to have them there. Tammy, how do you feel with being a retailer in that market?
Well, just to give you an example, last Saturday, I don't think, we were very, very busy. And, small business Saturday.
Right,
but
right.
None of them were from Durant. They were all from out of town.
Same. I also work at UE for Stephanie Swiker, so we have a shop down there off 2nd Street as well, and Saturday I was not without a customer all day long, and I think at the very end of the day is when I had my regulars. Everybody else was shopping from out of town.
We commented all day long that it's so weird. We didn't know anybody. Everybody that came in, I mean, they bought a lot, but none of them were from here, because we'd say, ask them where they're from, and it was just at random. I mean, just all over the place.
Yeah, very healthy small Saturday this year. A lot of traffic, a lot of people out. Weather helps.
You think they,
Weather helps.
Well-
they came just to Durant, or were they maybe out at the casino, or couldn't tell?
I really we couldn't tell. But I just know they were all
Yeah, now
from
this is what I've been wanting for the last couple of years on this website, and, I've seen this through the hotels and on Best Western, what I've been on the last 10 years. And in the last 5 years, it's amazing how many reservations. You get 90% of reservations off the websites now. We don't even have much call centers at all. But the main thing that you have to have is when you go to the website, and we're pretty well there now, is you've got to have a quality website. You can't have, if you got a website that's no good, they won't even stay there. But the website that we're putting up now, and where they can go to the events and all that, people will love that.
Yeah,
I've got daughter-in-laws 50-something years old, and another one 45, and that's all they do. They go online banking, they go this right here, and if they see a sorry website, they won't stay on it.
Yeah, and I want to take a moment to commend efforts to Jennifer and Clay, who both did the website. It is a great landing page. There's up-to-date information in there. It looks nice, it's sharp, and that's where a lot of those, so when you look at those post engagements, that's why those numbers are so high. People are clicking through to those sites. That's the exact connection that we're making there. We're getting them to follow through to those sites. Now, what I'm interested to see, and this is one of the first things I asked Jennifer, is seeing our data and our metrics from the website, which will tell us how many visits we're getting, how long people are staying on the website, what pages they're visiting, and that allows us to even further tweak and get better, make that a better experience for them.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So I believe that's all I have, unless you guys have any further questions there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you for your time.
Jeremy.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, do we have anybody else here for reports? I'd like to get out of the way.
Just our report, and it's included in there, and
Okay.
if Jennifer wanted to run over that.
So I guess we'll go back to number 5. Discuss, consider approval of Durant Regional Airport grant reallocation. Jennifer?
So back in September, I believe, we awarded the Durant Regional Airport a grant with the specifications that it was to be used on fuel for the planes. With the, there was some stuff that happened that day and they were not able to fly, but the funds were used in they've had to use other capacity of funds, and so they are requesting that the funds be able to be released for these other capacities. That's in that email that I handed out to everybody as a handout. So their total expenses
What page
is
is that
listed
on?
on there. It's on the additional handout.
This one, for that candy bar thing. It's on this
10,000.
page. Did you get it? It's-
And
it's
that was in
underneath.
July when it was approved, just
Okay.
to
It's very, there it is, that's it.
document the record.
And so their total expenses did not come to the full amount, and they are planning on giving the additional back, but they are asking that the funds be able to be released to be able to use for these different
Reallocation.
expenses,
Yeah.
reallocated for these different
Have they
expenses.
got another one planned, or they're just thinking about it?
As far as I know, they are planning to do another one next year. I don't have confirmation on that, but
How much money's coming back to us now? They didn't use it all?
no, they are requesting to be able to reallocate to use 3,470.28. So the difference of that would be coming back to us. I haven't calculated that, but I can.
It,
6,000.
yeah,
Yeah.
Some money.
approximately.
Now, I think this is just
Yeah.
in the original grant, he just had fuel allocation, right? And
Correct.
He didn't think about.
Correct.
Kind of neat doing this.
Well, and it was the first time event
Right,
too.
right, yeah.
He didn't know.
I don't have any problem with it, I think.
I'd like to make a motion that we
Well,
reallocate.
let me finish this up. I talked to John White. The big World War II, whatever it was, to drop all the candy, it went down and couldn't make it because they couldn't get the thing up and running. And that caused a lot of problems. He also said, because I checked with him, I don't know if it was 5,000, 7,000, but there was a lot of people, and we weren't really prepared. I don't think we had enough policemen out there. I don't think we had enough, the bathrooms and all that. We were looking probably at maybe 3 or 4, but there was a great number of people. I asked him, where did they come from? He said they even come as far as San Antonio and Austin to come up here. It got so crazy when they was dropping that candy that they had to stop it for a while, and some of them left, but he said the parking was all over the place. They didn't even have enough parking.
No,
And
they-
I mean,
they-
I'm
they
telling
parked
you,
all the
Yeah.
way- they
I'm telling
parked
you-
all the way down to Ninth Street. I believe.
yes, and so if we can
Amazing.
get this arranged with more policemen, more bathrooms, different things, and more people out there, it would be a great thing next year, but we make sure that we have all the things in line, because if he has 10,000 people out there next year, and you make about 3 or 4 mad, they won't come back. But we're not talking about the Durham area. We're talking about down in Texas, they found out about it, and they come to take their kids up here. So apparently it was a big event.
Yeah, a
considered.
lot of those probably wouldn't be back next time because it didn't pan out. Yeah.
But you
But
saw the
there'd be other
parking
people.
everywhere.
Oh, yeah, you can,
We hope. Yeah.
And I don't think anybody was expecting that many, but I mean, you know, that was a big event, and it wasn't just for Durant. I mean, these people were coming from 90, 100, 120 miles away.
Every parking spot from the highway, basically, from 9th Street all the way down, both sides of the road, the National Guard Armory, everything was completely chocked.
Were the fields dry enough to have somebody direct traffic into the field?
I think they were, they just didn't think about it, they just not quite on.
They just
Didn't
didn't
have
have the
permission yet.
volunteers
They
there.
did have volunteers to.
They did park in the field, is what the city manager
Jeremy,
said.
yeah, and Jeremy was there.
Yeah.
And he actually took photos and
John, could
posted
you come up
those.
for a second? Let's ask you a couple questions on it.
Sure, I probably don't know the answers, but.
Oh, you will. You're the city manager, you know everything about this place. Were you out there at the time that they were doing that, or
I was out there for a period of time.
was you amazed at how many people was parked down the road? I mean, were you expecting
Yeah.
that many?
No, we were not. So, I mean, it was crazy. When we actually left, there was somebody parked in Danny's driveway, and I told my wife, I said, man, that's not gonna be good if he needs to get out of there, so,
Yeah, because
I don't think he was home, but,
I talked to John, they had that big old bomber, whatever, was gonna let it all out, and they had to go back to the helicopter, which made it, bad. So many people was running out there that you had to stop it for a while and then go again after
They
some of
did.
them left?
they did, yeah. It was,
Communications weren't.
yeah,
good.
the sound was not good, the audience couldn't hear what they were being directed to do, and so, a lot of things we can fix for next time. AAR revealed lots of things, so, like you said, restrooms was a huge issue, so.
So you think if we did it more officially next time, we'd probably have at least that money more or a little bit more, what, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's gonna take
From my
more-
understanding is there's people that follow these things, so that's why you get people from so far away to come. So I know one lady from Dallas wasn't real happy. She came all this way and didn't get any candy. So
So nobody else,
with no kids, I might add.
yeah, no other,
I don't know what the
no other
deal
airport,
with candy
no other airport
is.
does this? No other airport does this?
Sweet tooth.
I am not sure about that.
Yeah, I'm not, think
I would
other-
bet they do.
Other places do it, I'm not familiar, this was totally new to me.
Yeah,
Well, I
it's
think
new
we
to
can
me
do it
too.
efficient next year. I think it'd be great. I mean, you're pulling in people all over the place. I thought most of it's gonna be in this community within about 30, 40 miles.
That's
I didn't
what
know there's gonna come from San Antonio, Austin, and all these other places.
Yeah, it ended up being more like when the train stopped,
Yeah,
How did it get
exactly.
advertised?
and we weren't prepared for either one of those really. So
How did it get advertised?
They advertise it supposedly on television.
Well,
I think
there
I
was
saw
a
some
lot
on
of social
television, too.
media. We did social media post on that.
yeah, it was social media. It was on Channel 12. I know. I think it was on 10 as
10.
well.
And
Uh,
LBC.
And Kel.
He has those three.
Okay, listed. Yeah.
I'm telling you, Charlie, whatever he did on the advertising, it worked.
Sounds like it.
The ones that came from quite far away probably saw it on social media.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Yes.
Well, and a lot of these people that were flying in were from out of state as well.
Right.
And a lot of it's word of mouth as well, so I'd like to take all the credit for social media, but
Were there a lot of people that flew in that weren't involved in the project themselves?
I'm
I
gonna
don't
say,
know, I didn't see that many aircraft out there.
but a lot of
No.
those people that flew in were not directly involved, but they were there for that event, is what I understood.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain on that, Janet.
Yeah, I didn't see, I don't know where they were parked if they flew in. Because
Yeah.
Yeah, there weren't any planes parked on
No.
I'm sure many of them were driving it.
And we don't have
3 or
that
4
much,
hours.
we don't have any remote parking.
No, it's great.
Yeah, and we don't have excess hangar
We don't have any
space. So.
parking at all, ramp space at all for aircraft.
Yep.
We're short on that.
Well, so if we have it next year, Danny can take his fence down coming around and they can all park in his
Danny can
land.
charge for parking.
You
Yeah,
could, yeah.
yeah.
Just like at a football game.
Yeah,
You got quite a bit of land over there, don't you?
yeah. I drove my gator out there, I didn't want to. By the time I decided to go out there, it's already, I said, I don't want to walk that far, I'll just drive my gator
Yeah.
on the grass. But
Would any of your kids or grandkids come up to see it?
Yeah, they were all out there. They didn't get any candy either, so it's okay.
So then you had to go buy some.
They weren't real upset. They had plenty of candy.
You can get candy.
But next time we need to have more than one aircraft, which probably costs more money, but we need to try to get, so if one aircraft goes down, we still have
A backup.
some.
Yeah.
Backup.
Yeah, and the bomber, he said that, you know, a day or two before it broke down, they was trying to get it back up. But
Right.
that thing would have made it more
That's
efficient.
just one of those things, the engine went down.
Well, the 1940 model, you know it's gonna
And
happen.
there was another event, there was another
Something like
show
a
going
little
on
parsley around
that kind of
fixing
took
it.
I
all
wouldn't wanna fly in
Right.
it.
the other optional
Right.
aircraft, so.
Yep.
Well, we thank you for the information.
I think,
Yes, sir.
I think that, I mean, I don't know how much about the candy thing as opposed to just the appeal of seeing
The plane.
the plane,
Planes.
the old
Yeah.
bomber. I
Yep.
mean, I like that.
Yep.
I care less about the
Candy.
but
But then there's a bunch of them. Apparently that lady was mad because she didn't,
yeah.
or whoever it was.
Yep.
If you tell them they're getting candy, you better have candy, is all I know.
That's it.
I do know a place they can get candy.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. There've been a couple of air shows out there and they were pretty successful. One time back in the 70s, we actually had the Blue Angels come in and demonstrate.
And that is
Blue Angels and Bob Hoover at the same time. That's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
wow.
1970, that's when Durant was a lot smaller too.
Yeah.
You could just,
it
can you
was
imagine it nowadays?
Early, it was early 70s, yeah. I don't remember the exact year.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we do.
Thank you.
The request and that we allocate the funding, the 10,000 differently. We go ahead and take the remaining back, but remember next year when we go into it, he may once again request the 10,000 and he may once again need the whole
Or the
10,000.
fuel, because that's gotta be expensive.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I second.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and seconded, like to call roll.
Trustee Calhoun?
Yes.
Trustee Cross?
Yes.
Trustee Shattuck?
Yes.
Trustee Thorpe?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Chairman Scher?
Yes. Okay, number 6, discuss and consider approvals for management contract. It's,
Is that me, I guess? All right. We
What
sent out
page is that on?
RFP for,
What page is it on?
well, you don't actually have the packet yet because I haven't distributed it.
Oh.
But we had one response, so. I'm gonna take it or leave it.
Okay.
as you wish.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got bios that go along with that, but
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm not, I don't advocate for any of them, so if you look through that and you like it, then great, and if you don't, then I guess we can resubmit the RFP and see if we get different responses.
With this COVID, it's shut down many things this year, doesn't it? I mean, we're talking about grants and all that. You just didn't have that much going on this last year, right?
We have a representative, Jennifer Wilcox, and if we could, let's address the questions to her, please.
And yes, you are correct. With COVID, the last what it feels like almost 2 years now, has been much slower, but we are starting to see a pickup this fall, and we are very excited about some of that.
I guess the last number we've got on this sheet, it would be from, what, August? On the financial report showing how much money we've got coming in, is that from August sales?
No, there's,
Are you-
October's on there.
I know, but is October really August sales? That's when we get it.
Yes. We're 3 months behind, aren't we?
Oh, yes. 3 months or 2 months?
It's either 2 or
John?
3.
I think it's 2, isn't it? Is John
And
here?
John left.
John left, okay. I think it's 2 months.
Well, you make the sale, then you send it in the next month, and then they get it back to you, so
2.
if they get it back before the end of the second month, it's due. So you don't have to have it in until about the middle of the month.
Yeah, the 15th, I think is the date.
And so the time they get you a check back, it's probably 3 months old, the income.
I thought it was 2, I may be wrong, Charlie. I thought we had been told that we were 2 months behind.
Well, you have the sales, let's say in August. You make the report up by the middle of September,
Right.
and then in October you get the money. So if you show in October,
That
you're
would
showing
be, yeah, I see what you're
August.
saying. 3 months from the date up.
Mhm.
How much of our current budget are, would you say are these line items down below? Does that make sense what I'm saying? On page 6. Would any of our current budget fall under these line items, I guess?
Some would, yes.
Okay, so right now, every month, we pay $6,250, is that a correct
Yes.
statement? Okay,
That's correct.
so that number will essentially go to, well,
We're going from
By
75,
month.
those
We're going
aren't
from 70
quarterly up there, the 21,200, that's not really kind of a quarterly number, those are just 4 events, correct?
Correct.
Right, sorry. So it's not really a quarterly thing, there's $7,000 a month.
so we're getting 70, your chamber's getting $75,000 a year for it now.
Correct.
And all of a sudden, they want to double it to 150,000, right?
Yes, but we also want to, I mean, we are adding in kind of what we've been doing by creating the fall concert series and by helping with the holiday promotions. We want to be able to continue including and upping tourism with activities in the spring and summer. And with that comes, you know, added expenses, extra time on telephone, extra time working on the website, after hours overtime for the employees, all the chamber employees, you know, fall concert series days, we had a chamber employee out there from before 8 o'clock when our office hours aren't 9 until past 10 o'clock at night on each one of those events.
So if we go up this much, we're looking at between $30,000 and $35,000 of the budget every year, right? About 35%.
Roughly, yeah.
No, that's, I figured 20%.
Do what?
our total budget's what, 805,000?
Yes.
Well,
And
that's what you say, but that's not directly true. Because what you did this last year was a record year that we won't see for another 10 years. And what you had is you had the Choctaw Casino being built out there with 1,000 rooms, and it kept every bit of all of us within 90 to 95% full. If you start looking at it since the Choctaw Casino stopped, now all of a sudden you're seeing about 60 to maybe 70 at the most occupancy. So this is fixing that, and Charles will tell you this, even, the other one, it's dropping. You just happen to see one year that, boy, was great.
Well, I mean, past year, the first
It's not
year-
gonna be $445,000 from now, I guarantee you it's not. It's going down. We're not doing what we had.
I'm
when we
gonna
had
have to
Choctaw.
speak as a
Okay.
trustee on this, and this is my position as trustee.
Yes,
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I also want you to understand what's going on to our west. We have a new development that's being added with Point Vista. The Chickasaws are also incorporating a new lodging property. We need to be accountable for the number of people that are coming through our city to get to that avenue. That lake traffic matters. Again, I will ask Tammy.
It does, makes a huge.
The more lodging, the more property that you have in those areas will also add to the revenue stream that we have, and it will also help to fill our hotels. Why? Because we have very competitive rates compared to what some of those will be leasing for as individual condos and townhomes in that area.
yeah. I just think that, this next year, you're looking at the hotel industry, I think it's gonna be between, $650 to $725. It's not gonna be $800 or something $1,000. It's not.
I think it'd be more like 600.
Charles, are you filling up now? Are you filling up now?
No.
You're doing good, get 65%?
Yep.
See, everybody else is too. We had one great year, and that's how we got that $800 and something $1,000.
I think everybody in town's
They are,
doing about the same, or worse,
yes.
at this present time.
Yeah, we were running 100% full, even on Sunday night, which is slow. And I passed by the ones down the highway, and they're doing good to have 20 rooms in an 80-unit motel on Sunday night. All of us.
When is the Chickasaw supposed to be starting all that?
They've already broke ground. They actually started the preliminary work, getting the wastewater plant and those things.
I do think that is going to
Do what?
help a lot, to bring back some of that we're missing from out here. I think that's gonna bring some in, but maybe not to that level, but I think it's gonna bring quite a bit in when they start construction.
No, you think what is?
What they're doing, Chickasaws are doing across the lake.
And when is that gonna start? I've heard it was
She
gonna
just said-
start 2 months ago, 6 months ago too.
Well, I know that
We met-
Point Vista, we broke ground, I went out to their ribbon cutting and groundbreaking a month ago. And at that same time, the Chickasaws were moving in to start preliminary work on their wastewater plant, those type of infrastructure things that have to be put into place. But Point Vista has broke ground, and the type of facility that they are offering that will be for public lease is where I think that we are going to see the traffic. Those people have disposable income that are going to be hopefully coming into our town. But there again, if you have
But that's gonna be in
that
3 to
rate-
5 years.
Well, they hope to have some of these ready to go by the spring of 2023, which is going to be a year. But when you look at the demographics throughout the United States, and you're looking at those things, the gross pull factor, our gross pull factor in Durant is around 100 to 125 miles. That is that's 12 miles. We are the largest city that can provide the stability, the staples in any of those condos that they're staying. But with that being said, you're going to be driving a competitive rate from our hotel and lodging properties within our city, because many of those people that are visiting cannot afford to pay that type of rent in those areas. So they are going to be in our lodging properties in Durant.
So when does the Choctaws start in their casino?
The Choctaws already have.
I mean, the
theirs, yeah.
Chickasaw, sorry.
That I can't give you a date, I don't know. I just know that they are working on the infrastructure right now.
It does, but we all know the Choctaws and Chickasaws, my wife does too, that we do not go very fast. When we tell you we're gonna do something, that's usually 3 to 5 years out before we start. And I'm talking for a Choctaw too. And my wife tells you the same thing. She tells me, if I tell her I'm gonna be there at 1 o'clock, she knows it's gonna be about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I
That's
shouldn't be doing
true.
that.
That's true.
Native American time, huh?
Yeah, Choctaw time. But, you know, like I said, this is gonna be, when they get this built, this is 3 to 5 years down the road, at least.
Are y'all, the highway construction project, I mean, that's not near the number of people. Do you get people, or a lot of those people, local people driving equipment? Or do they bring their own trailers? I mean, the highway.
A lot of these, even in the when they did the Choctaw, there was a lot of trailers coming in and RV parks and stuff. But, you know, they had enough going with that, and the highway department, it did real good. And the highway department is still bringing in some business to us, or would be another 5 or 7% lower than what we are now. Give it another year and a half, they're supposed to be through with that project out here. And when they do, now all of a sudden, all that construction is gone. And now it's gonna drop us another, at least
Well,
5%.
some of the longer term stays are going to apartments now.
They're going to apartments and they're going to RV parks, yes. We've had some that come in and then move out, whether they're sharing a house or an apartment or an RV, yes.
In our definition, who's supposed to be paying this beside the motel? I know
This all,
B
motels
and
are
B
only,
should be paying it. Would trailer parks that are rented by the night or
there's
by the
not any
month?
inside the city limits anyway.
If they are
No.
in a lodging property, but you can't differentiate with that.
There's not any inside the city limits.
Well,
I don't believe.
but the proof is on the person collecting the money.
And many in the trailer park is coming and building here and they're paying no
But they're
Hotel
they're not in
tax.
the city limits.
No, I said that, or I don't think there's
They're in the
any
city-
inside
They're not in
the
the
city limits.
You don't think so?
Not the ones I know of.
No.
There's no RV
In
park.
fact, I don't know if you can build one. No, I mean, the only one that fall inside the city limits would be,
Well, in city ordinance,
KOA, and that's,
yeah,
they're tribal, they're not gonna.
Yeah,
city
I was gonna say
ordinance
that's not-
it states that you cannot have a mobile home within the parameters of the city limits.
Sure.
So that if you, and that's to discourage RV living, those type of things next door. And
Well, now those things that they drive around that cost $3, $4, $5, $600,000, I wouldn't consider a mobile home.
but they are considered an RV, a recreational
Yeah,
vehicle,
yeah.
which is the
According to
same,
city
classified as the
ordinance,
same.
And
It's
they
the same.
should,
I wouldn't consider them that either. I'd love to have one.
they
but-
should be paying it if they're just there for,
No, but there's no place for them to park inside the city limits. That's your charge, I mean,
I don't know what might happen though. You know,
Well, you'd have to go back to the original, I mean, you go back to the bond issue.
you got another thing that's gonna be coming into the picture next year sometime that I read about in the Wall Street Journal. There's a couple of different plants that together, they're gonna spend $30 billion
Yeah,
in Sherman.
sure,
$30 billion is spending in Sherman is gonna affect Durant.
2,000 jobs if it looks like.
I'm
I mean,
talking about the
they're carrying-
construction part of it. It'll take them a while to get that thing constructed. Or, I think there's 2 different plants and ultimately maybe 4. But, you know, we don't know where we are right now. I don't know how much we can afford.
Well, we already, like I said, you know, coming back to the motels, we were filling up all the time. Right now, I can drive around motels now. No one is filling up during the week. They're doing good to have 65, 70%. If we didn't have to have the weekend concerts, we wouldn't be in very good shape at all. That's the only thing that makes us money. But during the week, drive around. You can drive around too, see if the parking lots are full up. They're not full up. They'll look like they got quite a bit, and they do. They have 70% or 65, but they're not running 100%. None of us. Not during the week. Sunday's worse because you do maybe 20 rooms, but during the week, you know, most motels are going to be 70% full. The only time they fill up is if they have a concert. That's how much it's changed since last year. You know how restaurant business goes. When all these construction people go out, guess what's going to happen to you? A little bit more on these highway, you're going to be doing good to make some money too. You know it's coming.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't know what it would be. But we're at 800,000. What was it the first year? I guess most of this construction was going on the first year of this tax. This tax been in existence.
What'd you take in that first year?
3 years.
2017 is when it was collected, when we started collecting.
But that gets back to what is considered normal, acceptable management percentage. I mean, for anybody to, what do you?
So one thing I would like to ask the authority to consider is, I know at some point there's been meetings where there was discussion on, you know, hiring one. I don't know what the cost of that was, but just something to keep in mind for the budget that we are proposing. That comes with now 5 employees.
I don't think we.
So in that aspect, that's,
What does an in-house meeting comprise?
that is, I mean, any meetings that we would need to host over there in regards to any of the events that we're going to have. You know, when we had the fall concert series, we would meet with the city officials on making sure stuff was blocked off for the streets. We would meet with the restaurant owners to kind of get their feedback after each one on how things were going, what could be improved. It's any of those meetings like that, which comprises of, you know, sometimes technology, because we would have to do it via Zoom. Sometimes it was we could only get people there for lunch, you know, in those aspects.
What does management of holiday activities comprise?
Much like what we're right in the middle of right now, just helping with management of the Christmas activities, making sure that we made rack cards, we've changed the billboard, making sure that the advertising is going out there for people to know of the holiday activities that are going on in Durant and to come and discover Durant in the holidays.
Most of the events in the Christmas time is managed by down on Main Street, isn't it? She does all the stuff downtown, right? She's over that?
It's a split between everybody. The chamber hosts the Christmas parade. We have a holiday mixer. We partner with those organizations for these events as well, so we help as well.
I think if you took the salary of any one of your 5 people, whatever you're making out of the salary of, well, let's take the salary of your lowest one, and then
Times that by 5.
Work alone, you got, they'll need an assistant, so take another salary. Then you gotta have an office space.
Exactly.
You gotta equip it, you gotta pay utilities. I don't think you could do that for $150,000.
Do we even have a telephone? Discover Durant?
I don't know that we need it.
How is it?
It is included in the RFP that
How
if
is it
it's,
answered? Is it answered Chamber of Commerce or Discover Durant?
it is currently answered as the Durant Chamber, but it is included in the RFP that we would get a distinguished line for Discover Durant. And that line would be answered Discover Durant.
I would be amazed that if we was to put this out and say you're gonna get $150,000, there's probably some lawyers that would pick up 2 or 3 people and manage it from the lawyer's office or accountants that would take it on real fast.
Well, we
If
we just
them up-
put this out.
And if we put up $150,000, I'm telling you, you get some bids on that thing, probably for some lawyers and everything. You know, if I was a lawyer, I'd pick me up 2 or 3 people and say, let's try it.
But do they have a track record? Do
When
they
do
have
you
a track
say
record?
you can't?
Do they
Martin
have, do
County.
they have the track record of the expertise of
You don't know,
tourism?
if you put it out, we'll find out. You put it up there and say $150,000, you're gonna buy
There
it.
again,
Let's just put it out on the website and
I'm
see.
a trustee today.
Well,
We do have an accountant that's in the audience that might be able to address some of those individual things. I think Ms. Taylor is doing very good, I'm sorry.
That's
Mrs.
okay.
Wilcox
I'm still not used to it.
is doing a very good job.
I mean, will it, we not have to worry about paying the city for accounting?
Speaking of, on a management level, accounting has to be done in any business that you're in, whether you're on contract or whether you're a straight pay. Payroll,
She's supposed to be answering that.
well, I said I'm speaking as the manager, from the management side on it. You asked me, and there are certain costs that are factored into everything that you do in a business, as you well know.
Well, certainly.
And accounting is a huge part of that.
And I do my own accounting, except I have an accountant that I hire to make sure I didn't make a mistake.
And as the Chamber of Commerce does as well.
And
I've never seen this before in business. I guess y'all have. I guess you have in banking and you have. But, you know, if you had a manager underneath him, let's say if you had a manager underneath you.
I can't afford a manager.
I know you can't, but I'm just saying, if you had a manager underneath you, and let's say you're just paying him $25,000, or 20, let's just say 20,000, and he comes up to you and says, no, this next year I want 40,000, what are you gonna do? This is, I'm saying 75,000, go to 150,000. I've never seen this in services or managers and all that stuff go up 100%. I've never seen it anywhere. I don't know, have you? You ever seen something go up 100%? Have they ever gave you 100% of your salary? Said if they're paying you 75, they're gonna give you 150 the next year?
No, that doesn't happen. That's the issue. I mean, I don't have any, if you want my opinion, I don't have any issue with 150,000 because I think it's been said, we looked at it one day and I mean, it's gonna be hard pressed to put this person in that position. I mean, that's what we would spend, for sure, I think, or more. My problem is, where do the lines get blurred in the middle of all these items? You know, how accurate do we think they really are? I mean, I'm sorry, I just had to ask that. Because of that very reason, we're going from 75 to 150. And it may very well be correct, but I can't help but wonder, you know, because you guys are doing more than one job. You are. I mean, and there's 4 or 5 of you, and so that it probably works, but it's hard to wrap my mind around how accurate it is.
Yes, please.
Please.
So the way that the RFP is written requests the proposal to have an itemized listing of where this figure is gonna go. And to be honest, from that aspect of it, Janet and I kind of had this discussion of saying, when I go get my CPA license and I go to look for a job, someone doesn't ask me, well, how much is your mortgage? How much is your car payment? I come to them with credentials and experience and something that is worth of value to them, and I ask for that amount. So to me, yes, the executive committee of the chamber kind of sat down and looked at those figures to say, well, let's create an allotment so that we're not having to go back and ask for more travel reimbursement. We just haven't allotted, I don't even know what that number looks like,
Yeah,
but
I get
$10,000, whatever, so that we're not having to ask for additional funds beyond those given through the management fee.
Do you work with the Chamber of Commerce?
Yes, sir, as the treasurer.
You're one of the, she's one of your employees?
No, sir.
No.
Oh, you're just a chamber member.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
She's on the
executive.
executive.
And you work with who?
Van Dixon CPA.
Okay, that's your dad.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There's one thing that I would like to point out that was in the RFP, and I don't have a copy of it in front of me, but it specifically states in that RFP that the management fee, once you grant a management fee, and if you would, Jason, I think it's, like I said, I don't have one in front of me, but it's a specific paragraph that addresses that issue about, but it does ask for an itemized thing. But it does state in there that that is to be used at the discretion of the person that are, of the whomever is presenting the RFP.
In this instance, it'd be at the discretion of the chamber, wouldn't it?
Yes.
But personally, again, that's kind of just a personal opinion. That might be something that's revisited, because just like in your example with the attorney, are you gonna ask the attorney that works in his office to document an itemized listing of how he's gonna use that money as a manager? But we did kind of run the
I
numbers
think
just.
Jennifer has found it.
Okay. We did also look at those numbers, like you all mentioned, of hiring a full-time employee, and even if you said, I don't know, something relatively low, in my opinion, of 70,000, you know, you're looking at least another 7,000 just in payroll taxes, plus the benefits that would have to be provided, plus, you know, $1,200 of rent a month, and
Well, I'll just throw up a question as a question and nothing else. But for instance, on the mileage allowance, who's gonna make the decision how those miles are gonna, that $10,000 is gonna be spent?
Yeah.
I think Jennifer's.
We thank
found
you
that.
for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Thanks,
think
Van.
Jennifer's found the paragraph that addresses that, Charlie.
I have not on that.
No.
I do have the original RFP. I'm sorry, remind me what paragraph we were looking for?
I remember reading it in something I got a month and a half or 2 months ago, but I didn't get anything this time to.
I'm sorry, remind me of the paragraph we're looking for?
It specifically says that the management fee, and I'm not stating verbatim because I can't remember verbatim, but that the management fee can be used at the discretion of it, okay.
Yes. Go ahead. It was in there, under item 8, under budget.
So you're saying the management fee can be used any way that the Chamber of Commerce wants to use it, is what you're saying?
I'm addressing the RFP that was put out.
Do what?
The RFP, the request for proposal says that the management fee, whatever amount it is used.
Yeah, can you come up a little bit where I can hear you on the phone?
The RFP says that the management fee is used at the discretion of the management company. So however much money is in the proposal, whatever the number ultimately is given to the management company, and then they use it to manage the authority's affairs how they see fit. You give them a chunk of money, and then they do what they need to do to manage the program. It's
So
not
if
like
there's
they have to-
$50,000, if there's $50,000 left over, then they can put it in the Chamber of Commerce and use it the way they want, right?
No.
For anything they want.
Well,
to do.
you're giving
No,
a,
no, they can do that.
the whole fee is supposed to be used to manage the affairs. They are telling you how much they think that it will cost them to manage the affairs for the authority. And then you give them their money and trust that they will use that money to manage the affairs of the authority.
But then it has to be gone over by an accountant, and you're gonna give.
Yeah, but they don't have, so they've got
list.
they've got a line item that says $10,000 for mileage reimbursement or whatever it is.
No,
They don't have to
And you're
use
gonna have
every
to give an
single penny
itemized
of
list
that.
to us to say this is what we spent it on, right?
they'd have to do that, they have to document how they spend all it.
They don't have to justify every penny that you give them. You're gonna give them a bucket of money, to manage your affairs. They don't have to, like, if,
They don't
if,
have-
they-
they don't
if they
have-
only have $8,000 in actual mileage expenses, they don't have to give you $2,000 back.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say
but
that.
I understand that, but on the other hand, if we as a board request them to go to 24 shows,
Mhm.
and it costs more than that,
Too bad for them.
do they have to go?
I mean, I would say yes, if these are things that are required for the business of the trust authority, yeah, they have to go to trade shows and things like that to get people to come to Durant and put on the Candy Bomber or whatever else. If travel is required, they have to go. I mean, that's something that y'all negotiate, I guess. I mean, you can't send them to Timbuktu because you want to try to bring, I don't know, throat
Yeah,
singers over
there's-
here or something like that.
You know, like the point you made, if they just spend $2,000, they've got $8,000 that they can spend otherwise.
Uh-huh.
That's understandable. But there's another side to that, as there is on all of these things.
It's just a proposal. You guys do not have to accept it.
I personally would like to think about it a little bit more, particularly in light of our present community occupancy and income generator.
Okay.
That's just me.
Can I ask a question, Jennifer? Will there be one person that really manages this, or is it gonna be a community event?
Well, the way this reads is it'll be the Durant Chamber of Commerce Board, I would say, would be responsible for it.
So,
So if something happened to you and you went out on the highway tomorrow and got hit head on and you didn't come back off the highway,
then there are other employees of the chamber that would step in and fill the role and take over doing that. I would remain representative of the chamber for the tourism authority and be a main point of contact for that. But it is already a collaborative effort within the chamber, and it will continue and increase and do that. But yes, if something happens to me, then we have
so it would be.
other employees that are ready, because we are all cross-trained, so
But
they
if
would be
you-
ready to step in like,
If you gotta have those 5, it would be the board to decide we're gonna hire somebody to take over Jennifer's spot since she's no longer here. So it ends up being the board of directors of the Chamber of Commerce, doesn't it?
that chooses the next hire within the chamber, yes.
That's the underwriting entity.
Yes.
This may not be
But go ahead.
just out of curiosity, and you may not want to tell me, I don't know, but, I mean, just for comparison's sake, 150,000 for tourism, what is the chamber's budget now?
I'll
That
be
is
glad
a
to
great
address that, and I think that we are at 243 roughly,
243?
and that is without the income of that. And that is, you are a member of the chamber, so you are privileged to that information, so.
So y'all, 243,000?
What?
You said 243?
Roughly 243,000.
Okay.
But I would also like to say too, that Discover Durant would not be where it is today had not been for the chamber.
That's correct.
That's right,
I
I
mean,
think
we
we've
would
got
not-
more, I mean, I
You
think we've
know,
got more
the
than,
chamber
more than
has-
our money's worth, and
That's
more
absolutely
than what we paid.
The chamber has done an awful lot
And what
for,
happens if they say they don't wanna do it anymore?
then we're in trouble.
Then we're in trouble.
I mean, it's, the lines get blurred, I mean, when you're doing this, I mean, you don't have a.
Well, and plus, things are not.
It
as
may
cheap
not
as
be
they-
like an
I mean, things are
attorney
going
that
up.
you're hitting that button every time you're working on something, you know, for the tourism. I think we've gotten a whole lot more than what we paid for it.
Now,
Thank you, I'm
I
glad you
don't-
recognize that.
I'm not seeing, is there
I'd say
any?
thank you too.
I know, I'm not seeing any one person. Do you specifically work for the tourism 100% of the time, or are you working for the chamber on some of their projects too?
We all work for chamber and tourism because we currently do a month-to-month contract with you guys.
So
So
do
we
you
all
split
we all do both of them.
So you split them up 50-50, or?
And that depends day to day.
What's going on?
That depends on what's going on. I mean, fall concert series, that was 100% tourism nonstop. Some days
So we don't have
we
a
have stuff with the
dedicated,
chamber.
the tourism board does not have one designated person in the Chamber of Commerce doing their work 100% of the time, right?
I am the chamber representative for the tourism authority. So
Well, you're
yes,
telling me that, but
I
I'm
am
just saying,
y'all's
we don't
contact
have
there.
anybody that's dedicated in the Chamber of Commerce that's doing the tourism work 100% of the time.
We all are.
100% of the time.
I mean,
You're not
really,
all
chamber
doing
is
that.
also,
You can't be doing
chamber
100%
is
of the time when
also,
you're doing 50% for Chamber of Commerce.
but chamber is also
Chairman?
tourism.
Could I address this? And this is from, this will have to be from the chamber because I'm not going to reveal what Jennifer makes. But if I took Jennifer's salary plus the insurance that she's paid, plus the benefits that we provide, and if we did it, Jeff, on what the city gave us as a 40% match, you would be at 125,000. Now, if you add rent, if you had internet, if you add the ancillary things that go with that it would take us to put an office together for one individual person, understanding that you're not going to have volunteers from an organization that has nearly 500 members to help at a concert series. You're going to have one person managing that. Then that's what you would
It's
have.
way over 150 then.
Yes.
Right.
And that's without rebilling. And Jennifer does not, believe you me, she could not live very long on that. And that's going with the formula, Jeff, that we were given when we were looking at hiring an individual for this.
Where did that formula come from?
The city.
Jeff and I met with them to actually try to gather information on what it would take to hire one individual.
So Jennifer would be, if we just hired Jennifer herself with a salary and everything else, it's gonna come to about 150,000, is what you're saying?
It's gonna be more than that if you rent an office, if you buy furniture, furnish the
Set her
office,
up,
have
phone
phone line,
line.
all of the ancillary that goes with furnishing an office and setting an office up.
She's not gonna work very long without having an assistant.
No.
Then that assistant might want an assistant.
And they have to
How
have
much
insurance,
Eric do?
and they have to have benefits.
Do you, does the chamber anticipate, or either anticipate or already have put additional personnel on the payroll if you get this contract?
No.
No?
The hire with Jeremy that I introduced, he is on a contract labor file right now. He will, if a position became available within the chamber, then he would be the first one that we would offer that position to. But we do not plan on and I will tell you this, if this is not something that we can negotiate and come to an understanding on, we will still have those same people in that office. This is not our only source of income. It can't be. And I think Tammy will attest to that, and as will our accountant in the back. We will not be letting anybody go. We're still going to have the full staff. We will be doing other things, but we will not be letting anyone go.
But in effect, what we're doing is saying that, 3/5 plus or minus a little bit of all of the time and all of the facilities and everything will be spent from the Chamber of Commerce on the tourism.
Okay, I'm not understanding who you're getting the fraction.
Well, I'm taking the 243 plus 150. And I said plus or minus.
Yeah, yeah. And I will be addressing what Jim's saying. Number one, first and foremost, I'm a member of this trust board. We're here to make sure that the money is spent correctly.
I just want to be clear also, so if this happens, then we won't go through the city anymore with expenses or does that still continue as is?
We still have
That
to do
would still,
that no
yeah,
matter
we have
what,
to do that
because
because
they
we are a
hold our
public
money.
trust.
Okay.
They hold the
No,
money.
they're supposed to, within what the people voted on, they are the receiver of our money and they're supposed to give it over to this trust. That's why I was asking about the
Oh,
the
well,
accounting. It's supposed to go over to the trust in their bank account.
Well, according to the way that it has been managed for the last 4 years, we still have to have documentation every time there is anything coming out of that account.
Well, I mean, if we had our own accountant that was taking care of it, that accountant is gonna wanna have some documents to document the expenditures we're turning into them.
They do have. They're called invoices. And the documents that we have to.
What I'm saying, that's the same thing that we're doing with the city, but we're paying for accounting here and accounting in the city. We're paying for a meeting room here and a meeting in the city. We're paying for, I think that's what the question was, and I may be wrong. If we're still gonna continue to pay the city what we're doing, I mean, I've heard several times during this relationship that we've had, I think it's been worked out here lately, but we had trouble getting the funds. And the question I thought was asked was, will that all be taken care of, or are we still gonna have to pay the city?
Are we, what are we paying the city right now? I mean, I don't recall right off the top of my head.
We
I believe-
contracted with the city for $1,000 a month
1,000 a month.
to handle
That
the accounting, but the accounting on this is like,
That's basically pay for the bookkeeping. They're not charging us for
right, right, yeah.
rental for having a meeting space.
I understood that was part of it.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's thrown in.
If, yeah, I mean, for ancillary
But the main
in-house
thing
meetings.
is their bookkeeping end of it, because what they have to do.
Yeah.
And my question was, does that change with this? But it does not.
No,
No,
Correct.
Okay.
no,
that would still
no.
be the same.
And, I mean, if they were charging us $1,000 a month for a meeting space here, then we could probably go over to the chamber and have a meeting space over there. But that money's mainly paid for their
Yeah, sure.
bookkeeping.
Yes.
Because of the way the thing's set up.
On this right here on Exhibit 1, he was talking about a CPA a while ago. If a CPA was to look at this Exhibit 1 and say there's a stamp for $10,000 and something else for $30, any CPA is gonna want the specifics down to the penny. You can't give a CPA this and him not look at it and ask you, okay, what is this and what is this? And I want to know have all your receipts. He couldn't give you a generalization of how it gets up to be 150. There's no CPA that would do that. they could lose their license over this if they did it like that. And I'm serious. They have to have itemized stuff. And if it's not itemized and something comes up, they can be in trouble for that too.
So that's what we were saying as the executive committee came up with a certain budgeted allotted amount so that we were not having to come back and request additional funds.
Yeah, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing, but the CPA has to have specific things. They have to, when you give them these things, they're gonna say, okay, you got postage and mailers and it's $5,300. It's gotta be down to, they have to have receipts for all the stamps and all this stuff. They just did.
May I ask the attorney something at this point? Again, I'm gonna go back to the RFP that was put out.
They're not gonna provide you line items. You're gonna give them $150,000 and they're gonna manage.
We understand that.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just saying, what I'm saying is that he was talking about a CPA.
Okay.
And, you know, if we were going to run this ourselves and a CPA was going to look at this, a CPA would have to have a line item to do your taxes and, or just to show this up.
If the tourism.
I'm talking about a CPA, and that's what he was talking about a while ago, is a CPA.
If the trust authority was gonna try to do it in-house, is that,
If they do it in-house, if we do it in-house and we have a CPA, he's going to have this itemized.
yes.
Right, right.
And you're gonna pay for it.
But we don't have, as I say, we don't have a place or
Well, I'm just
set up.
saying
I
it
know.
is.
Yeah.
Apparently, the city doesn't do that, does it? They don't, the city doesn't itemize this,
We
right?
pay for an audit. If you'll look in the expense, there is an audit. And we pay for a proportionate amount of that to the city.
And so actually, excuse me, so actually the relationship between the contractor, which is the Durant Area Chamber of Commerce, and you, the employer of that contractor, the only itemized receipts that we're talking about would be an invoice for services. So just like the attorney that you're contracting with, he's giving you an invoice monthly for perhaps an hourly rate or a flat rate. He's not giving you, well, this was how much my paper was, here was my phone line, here was my repair on my roof. So.
But
Yeah,
if the,
I think-
but
I
if the
think
city of
it's
Durant
fine.
wanted to itemize, they could ask us for an itemized audit, right?
Well, I don't know, I mean,
But,
You're
but
talking about
in
more.
the end, in order to satisfy the IRS, there's gotta be documentation to back up whatever you're
Yes.
claiming.
it's we're paying them $150,000 management fee. I mean, it's the same thing as if you hire somebody to manage your hotel. They're gonna say, this is what we'll do it for. They're not gonna tell you what all they're spending the money on.
And to me, that comes down to preference. If you, the trust authority, wanted to request monthly or quarterly itemized documentation from your contractor, the chamber, they could or should do that. But otherwise, the liability of that substantiation would fall on the Chamber of Commerce or whoever you went with in terms of this proposal.
That's fine too, but if we decided as a board to get an audit done, we could get an audit done every year on this too. So, and we're talking about a specific audit if we wanted to. It's our revised privilege to do that. If we vote to say to have an audit
Right,
every year,
but
the
you,
city does the same
but
thing.
you wouldn't have the authority to
And-
audit the chamber, for example.
And the city does the same thing. The city has an audit every year to make sure everything's in line.
And you said we wouldn't have, correct?
Right,
Couldn't audit.
Because
Right.
all
You-
you're doing is, all the chamber's doing is giving us a bid
that's
that
right.
says it's $150,000. Yes, you required us to break it down for you, but
Right.
we technically don't know why, because we're not paying based off of it.
Exactly.
I know
So
you
again,
work for a
you could-
CPA. Could I bring you up here for a second? I'm just not for sure on this.
Okay.
You know, she was telling me this, but you're the lawyer.
Okay.
So if we was, as a board, ask for an audit on ourselves, on our expenditures, he cannot ask, you're telling me that if we ask for, an independent audit, the board, on ourselves, he would not be able to audit all of this, all the money and where it goes.
All of the money that you gave to the Chamber of Commerce to manage
Yes.
it, no, you would, there would be one line item that said $150,000 management fee to the Chamber of Commerce.
If we paid for it by the month, it'd be $150,000 divided by 12. But you still got to, you know, the city will have given the trust X amount. Somebody's gotta account for that X amount. Not what's being paid for by the Durant Chamber of Commerce and their fee to do what they say they're gonna do.
Yeah, if the Chamber of Commerce runs off and misuses the $150,000 that you guys pay them to manage your affairs, that's not on the Tourism Authority, that's on the Chamber of Commerce.
I think if what you're saying, I think you'd have to go back and, okay, our budget, $600,000 is what we've got coming in every year. What is a reasonable amount to pay for management, okay? You'd have to go back and look at other boards such as this, other tourism. I mean, just what are you paying for management? I mean, is 25% a reasonable fee to pay for management of your advertising dollars? I don't know. I mean, but that's what it would come to. If an irate citizen or someone said a question, says, how come you're paying this much for management? Well, are we paying more than what the average is, or is somebody getting really a good?
If that are, I'm sorry to interject.
I think right now they'd say, hey, you're getting more than what you paid for right now.
At 75.
At $75,000 a year, yes.
It's hard to go up 100%, Danny.
Sure,
It's hard to go up from
You're
70.
talking the original tightwad here.
That's right. It's hard to go up from $75,000 to $150,000 in 1 year like that. It's just,
Oh, yeah,
I have trouble
yeah.
working with that.
Well, I've had that happen, not management, but I've had it happen on stuff before.
A lot of this contract is for promotion. What are we talking about in the way of promotion? Are we
Isn't it
talking about
advertising?
if we have advertising?
I think you just
Will that
heard,
be paid separately?
I think you just heard from the marketing person that the Chamber of Commerce has contracted with what can be done with promotional monies.
Well, no, that's not my question. My question is, probably close to, 2/3 of these numbers here are for promotion. Now, when I think of promotion, I'm thinking about all of the things that we do to promote something, whether it be on social media or billboards or whatever we do. Will that be an additional expense to this?
The expense on this is for the management of those promotions. So prime example, the fall concert series that we just did.
Well, it says promotional materials. What does that mean?
So promotional activities, I'm sorry, excuse me on that, but it's the management of those. So like the fall concert series that was Discover Durant's, the Chamber of Commerce managed coordinating to get the ads out on the billboard, working with with Overdrive Entertainment, making sure that the city permits were filled out to block off the streets, making sure the streets were blocked off, making sure there was volunteers there, including the staff of the chamber being at the events, making sure that it was advertised properly, and like our marketer did just say on our social media, the increase that we had on that. So it's the management of those activities and the promotions itself.
Well, and I'm going to use a prime example of what we have here. Every board meeting, we print close to 700 pages of documentation. That doesn't come out of tourism's budget. That comes out of the
No,
Chamber of
that's-
Commerce.
That's what we agreed on whenever we begun this relationship.
That's what I'm saying. That also requires time in putting this agenda together and putting the documents that are in here together.
Well, like this, it says promotional materials. You gotta have some materials to promote with. What are we talking about there? What are we gonna have to pay for as a trust in addition to that? I mean, there's just some questions here.
Well, I think that's gonna be up to the trust and how, what comes up. I can't tell you what we're going to need next month because Jim may want 4 new billboards. If we have 4 new billboards that come up, no, it's not factored in.
Well, what is factored in?
The things that are internal as far as the management fee, as our attorney just said. This is to manage the day-to-day activities that are going on.
I guess I'm just not very good in trying to communicate what I'm saying. I'm wanting to know.
Well, you need to
what
wear an orange shirt with Oklahoma State on it because that communicates very loudly, so.
Well, and I breathe through my mouth too.
There you go.
So I still don't know what promotional materials mean.
Well, it's like what we've had pamphlets.
Yes, thank you. That's
the-
what I was gonna say. I mean, like, we just made like rack cards of all the winter activities that are going on that we handed out.
We have printed
Christmas
in-house
festival.
over, close to 25,000 documents for Discover Durant. Those were done in-house on our copier, color copier, which charges, I believe it's 8.5 per copy, front and back. And those were done in-house.
And that was for what?
That was for, I believe, the lodging.
We did restaurant and lodging guide. For a while, we would do like little business cards that had the information that we would put in the peanut, that had a little kind of like history of why we're the home of the world's largest peanut, and that there's a time capsule that's going to be unearthed in
And those-
2023. We would print those all in-house.
Yeah, we're
And
still.
that's what you hand out at
And that's
these
what we
trade
hand out at
shows.
trade shows and people who come in and want bags with information.
We're still gotta be, if we hire them, I assume we're still gonna sit here and decide whether or not to give somebody a grant for X number of dollars, whether or not to spend X number of dollars on advertising in Oklahoma today, whether or not to.
Or
put a
Discover
billboard
Oklahoma
out.
or whatever.
We're still making
Yes,
those
that's still you.
decisions. They're not making those decisions for us.
Well, if that's what we agree to, that's what we do. But
Well,
I don't see-
we're not giving them a $500,000 budget to spend on advertising. We're hiring them to manage.
Well,
what
I
we do.
agree, but and we should all understand what it is we're agreeing to when we do this. I mean, and I have that question.
Okay, I mean, there's so much in blurring the lines, I mean, if they build us just a nominal charge per hour for what they've done, and we'd probably be way over what we're paying.
That would be my thought process.
Yeah.
That we've gotten a good deal for several years.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that.
And
I will
they
add-
are an existing organization, 500 members. You have something, you have a lot of people volunteer to do something that you probably pick up the phone or they say something, oh, I wanna help with that. Whereas if you hire 1 or 2 people to set up an office and do that, they may or may not be able to call on that many volunteers. when
And
they have
Jeff,
an event.
I will tell you that we have been at that 75 since we started this,
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that.
yeah.
I'd just like to say, I mean, overall, I think all of us trust
Yes.
that the girls in the office
That's-
at the Chamber of Commerce are
You're
gonna
right. It's
do
not a
well.
lack of trust.
Right. It's just that as this board, I feel like we all feel like we have to make sure that the public understands that we
The
didn't just
citizens understand that
willy-nilly
we're just not
give
giving their
a
money.
$75,000 raise with the,
And we have to have rationale for
Right.
people constituents that come to talk to us.
right. Because I don't think for a minute that the Chamber of
Correct.
Commerce is trying to do something bad. It's just we have to be accountable, you know.
And if we have a clear meeting of the minds as much as possible, it'll be better for all of us.
Well, we benefit a lot from what they do, you know, as far as this authority, you know.
No, we need a good response for when somebody says, how come we doubled?
Yeah.
We have to be able to say why we
Doubled
did
their
it.
management fees.
Well, I think Charlie was the one that made the statement, everything has gone up.
It
We've been
has.
doing this with limited staff for 3 years. We have been at that amount from the time that we started until present. Our costs have gone up. Everything has gone up. And we are going to have additional funding in order to move forward, and that's coming from the executive committee.
Understand that.
The first 2 years was not really that busy. It took us a year and a half, 2 years to get to a point where it started moving. It really didn't start moving until this last year. The first 2 years wasn't that hard because we were just getting started.
Did you work on it on a day-to-day basis?
Well, just like you was
On
talking
this
about.
right here, I'm looking at this deal again. Do we have a specific office inside the Chamber of Commerce? Because we're paying rent for an office. Do you know where that office is, Jennifer?
No, you're not paying rent for an office.
It says office rent.
Well, that's the
You're-
calculated amount.
Of each one of them in their individual offices kind of added their time, I guess.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
So you're explaining.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Because I'm on the chamber too. So I'm trying
Well,
to,
She's part of the
So are all
executive.
of
Well,
them.
I just wanted to know, it said office rent, so I just, when I say office rent, usually it's a specific place.
Guys,
You
it's
know, I
real
wasn't-
plain and simple. Either you want to do it or you don't. And first and foremost, I'm part of this trust. If you decide not to do it, then that's fine. I'm still part of this trust. Personally, and I think Savannah can attest to this, I have seen 0 raises in the 3 years since this has been part of our duties. And so, as far as direct compensation, 0. The staff has not had a raise since we did not do a raise last year due to COVID. If in fact the Tourism Authority, if we should have another drop down, and we can put this in the contract because I'm very committed to whomever we go with, whatever we do, there needs to be a binding contract. Because we have never gotten a binding contract that says this amount will be produced. We've turned in the RFP that was requested. We would like to continue to do it. And it's very simple. If you don't think that we are capable of doing it or think that that amount is too high, put it out for bid again, you know. But we have got to be able to move forward as well.
If we put it out for bid, we can put out the amount that we're gonna pay, say $150,000 and see what happens.
Why would,
That way
why
we'd
would
know.
we do that?
I would,
Why would we do that?
Well, that way we'd find out, you know, if there's somebody else out there that would wanna do it for 150, why not?
yeah, but I don't know, I'd be afraid to do that.
You'd be afraid to do that?
Okay.
Could you,
I have to research it, I don't know. I know that you can accept or not this bid, as far as putting it out and saying we're willing to pay $150,000 to whoever can release the best proposal.
you're still gonna have the problem of understanding exactly what we're contracting for. And that's the only reason I'm asking the questions I'm asking, because this is the first time I've had to sit and think about it.
Well, double, that's what I'm having a problem with. I don't understand why Janet, out of this 150, didn't take a $25,000 salary. I wouldn't have been opposed to that.
She's wondering that too. No, I'm just kidding.
If that's what you wanted to do.
I just.
You said that a while ago, you hadn't been paid.
Because I have a board that I take direction from.
They wouldn't let you have the $25,000 from here?
Pardon?
They wouldn't let you get a $25,000 from the tourism board?
Well,
I don't think I can take 25,000 from the tourism board.
Well, I know you were just mentioning it a while ago, so you said you hadn't been paid. I'm just throwing this
No,
out.
no, no, I didn't say I had not been paid.
I mean, for the tourism board.
I have not been paid from the tourism board, no,
That's what
sir.
I'm saying.
I have not.
I don't,
Put it in there.
I mean, I don't know if the chamber has ever contracted with somebody else for another source of income or not, but I'm assuming, I mean, is that normal in other chambers or anything?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And when we put this out last year, 3 years ago, when we first originally started talking about this, Ardmore was contacted, so was Ada. Enid operates on the very same
Same
type
thing,
of
okay,
structure.
well, so, I'm saying, if I was on the chamber board, and I would say, okay, we've got this contract, this other source of income, I mean, which is, be about 38% of what we're adding to this set. So the board can decide, I'm assuming the board decides whether or not you get a raise. And then, so the board can say, okay, we can give you a raise now, Janet, and I don't know if they decide on each of the other employees, or if you make that decision for the other employees, and then you can decide in turn, okay, we've got a bigger budget now, we can give everybody, so if everybody gets a raise because you got this, that's okay. I mean, it's expected. I mean, that's just course of business. Right?
Yes.
So we don't want to put this out again for 150 to see what we got?
I think we're just spinning our wheels.
You don't know until you put it out. You can say you're spinning your wheels, that's just a,
I'm not an expert in this.
that's what I'm saying, that's just a statement.
Just a little history.
I
We
don't
put
think you're
this
gonna find
RF,
a firm from Dallas coming up here wanting to do this for $150,000 and do anywhere near what
It is, but
we get
you
for
can
what we
speak
get.
that, but that's just a statement. You don't know until you do it.
Well, and get the personal treatment that we get. Okay, or somebody from Denison. I don't think somebody from Denison's gonna.
I can tell you the
Maybe
sun,
somebody here in Durant, but
I can tell you the sun's not coming up tomorrow, but you wouldn't believe me that either.
also just a little history on that. We have put this RFP out
You know, I
twice,
don't
and both
think-
times the chamber is the only one that submitted a response.
I don't think there's any question about, at least in my mind, I can't speak for anybody else, about whether you all can do it or not. It's just, I wanna understand what it is that we're obligating to do, and I would like a little more time to think about it.
So according to the RFP, the management company has to have an office within Durant city limits. So if you went out and asked for, people from wherever, they would have to come and create a physical presence in Durant.
Can you come up here and talk for a second?
The RFP requires the management company to have a physical office within the city limits of Durant. So if you were to put this out to companies outside of, from Dallas or Denison or Sherman or Ardmore or Oklahoma City, whoever got it would have to establish an office within the city limits.
Sure they do. We don't want somebody taking this over and being out of Sherman or
Okay.
somewhere else. You bet. It
Okay.
would have to be qualified to where you either have an office here or you can't even bid on the thing.
Very good.
It wouldn't be right.
Okay.
I'd vote that off real fast.
I got one, okay, something came up about phone number. Does Discover Durant have a phone number right now? I mean, is there a phone number listed on any information, any place?
Our lines are set up to designate a line for that.
So, I mean,
We will meet the demands and everything that is said in that RFP.
okay, well,
And again, if if this is the way that the trust decides to go, my suggestion is that a contract is drawn up by our attorney with all parties signing. And it's stating directly from what the RFP says and what the request for the proposal, which was submitted, that has to be included. And I don't care if we put it out for bid 15 more times, I'm still going to ask for that, because that contract needs to establish the terms that the RFP requested and what is within what's been submitted.
I guess I might have missed the meeting that we drew the RSP up. What, was it ever, I mean, how did it get drawn up? And how did it get approved by this board?
It was voted on, I believe, last month,
Yes.
and it was the
And I wasn't
exact
here,
one,
so,
it was the exact one that was used the year before, except, and I believe it was Danny that asked to, if it could be done on a 2-year basis, so that we didn't have to do this. And we asked the attorney, and he said yes, he researched it and said it could be done.
Yeah, it was
on
the exact same proposal with 2 changes. The changes were 2 years instead of 1, and the point of contact was me instead of the chairman.
And this proposal is for 2 years, is that?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So it's these 2 columns, it's for $300,000, is what?
Is there
Yes,
anything-
one column is for 2022 and one column is for 2023.
Yeah, I
So
saw that.
yes,
Is there anything,
we included both years.
anyway, okay, so lodging tax collections dropped from 800,000 to 200,000 a year. Do we have a way out?
I can put
We're
one
not,
in the-
we're
I
not
can
at
put
eight,
one in the
we're not at
contract if you'd like.
$800,000 a year. We're only at about 4. It's not, we don't make $800,000 a year on this
That's
thing.
how much overtime, right?
Hmm?
Overtime.
It's not $8,000 a year, $800,000 a year. That doesn't come from your lodging tax.
Is that-
If we got 40,000 a month, it'd be what, 520?
Yeah.
So we're at 500,000 a year now?
Yeah, I'd probably like to have it $800,000 a year, but you'd have the Choctaws involved in this too.
Okay.
What were you gonna say?
I think I answered the question I came up before, and frankly, I've forgotten.
I mean, just.
Yes, I could put it in the contract if
If
the
people
revenue
rent-
fell off a
rent-
cliff, that there was a way for us to cancel or reduce the amount or what, something.
Okay.
Why don't we do this then? Let's bring it up at the next meeting and have what changes we're talking about put in it, and it'll give us all, we've raised enough questions here today, we can all think about it between now and then. And maybe have an opportunity to discuss it with each one.
And we're not ready to put it out for bid again and put 150, right?
Not without me researching it and telling you that you can.
It would have to
I don't
be-
know if that would be acceptable.
For the record, I'm pleased at what you and Janet and the rest of y'all have done. Y'all done an excellent job. I'm just having to work through this number. I have no gripes or complaints. Y'all have done an excellent job, so don't think
I
I'm
think so, too.
going against you like this. I'm not. I just can't see 100% at one time. But
Well,
I'm just telling you, y'all
when
have
I'm
did an
getting
excellent job.
ready to sign a contract or anything, I do all this stuff in my mind anyhow. I argue with myself. And, but I wanna know what I'm doing when I do it. And so,
I would rather wait till the next time too and look at this again.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I mean, we didn't see this number until today,
Today.
so I think that's reasonable for us to have.
I don't wanna put it back out for bid at $150,000.
No, I don't
I'm
wanna
not-
put it out for bid. I think we're just wasting everybody's time, put it out for
Yeah,
bid.
I think we all
Can't see
just,
the results being any better.
to me, if we need to wait till next month and we have a contract that we can look at, that, okay, I trust the people that are running it, immensely. It's hard to go from that number to that number, but I also have to say, I believe that our current number is not close to what
It needs to
they're
be.
already spending.
Yeah.
And so it's not really 100%. personally,
Increase,
But
yeah. Still a
that's
lot.
just my thought, but I don't mind sitting on it and waiting and coming up with an actual document that says this is what you get for this amount of money. You know, is that possible? I mean, I understand what we got here is what we get, but
Well,
to me, the line items really blurred everything anyways, because they weren't required, but yet they were. And we all understand that they're an estimate based off of your board and you guys sitting down and talking. We just have to be able to be comfortable explaining that to the public if somebody asks us that, so.
I would seem to think that Janet, and I've watched her, and I've been the chairman for that many years, and I know she's done over 50 to 60% of the work. I mean, she's got Jennifer, but Jennifer didn't start with us either. I'd have no problem reworking these numbers and still have it 150 and give her $25,000 a year.
I
don't think we
cannot
can
do
do
that.
that.
I cannot do that.
You might. He can write it up.
No, I cannot do that.
Can't you write it up?
It's in the trust.
I think you have to trust. Yeah, we have to trust them that they're gonna spend the money for what we need and yet it
But
still
you
works for them.
you got a head that's having to oversee it, and she's not being benefited at all and working
Well,
twice as many hours.
No,
I think
she- she
their
may-
board will
she
handle
may-
that.
Yeah, the board will handle that. The board will decide if she needs a raise.
The board will handle it. They're just paying
The
us for,
chamber, yeah.
we're paying them
That's
for
not
the
our
service.
business, really.
But I don't understand how come we can't do it out of this fund if we have somebody over it.
Because our trust says it, you can't.
Do it when it was set up,
Yes.
yeah.
Can we, OMAG?
it doesn't say that
Oklahoma
specifically, but it
Municipal.
doesn't say what you're saying specifically either. It's another one of those things, this whole thing is,
So
Okay.
it's not saying that she
Fuzzy
can't get a salary. The
Huh?
proposition didn't say that we couldn't pay somebody a salary that was over this.
no, there's nothing to stop us from hiring somebody totally separate from the Chamber of Commerce.
And you can do an individual hire at any time that the trust decides to do that.
Yeah, that all is possible in what the people voted for.
Can, OMAG, the two groups, can we go any place and get a survey of, what other tourism boards like ours are paying for management? I mean, say, what is considered?
That's a good idea if you knew where you can go do that.
I mean, that gets,
It'd be
OMAG,
hard to
I'm
be
not sure.
comparable to somebody else. You'd have to do it to apples, and I don't know if you can do that or not.
I mean, some of these places, the money's probably just going into the general fund of the city and, they're not.
Well, did I misunderstand what you said a while ago about Ada being asked to do the same thing, the Ada Chamber?
Ada and Ardmore both do the same thing. Actually, the jobs, I think it's called their jobs,
That's their
Foundation?
economic
their
development.
job foundation, I think is what it's referred to. But the economic development, the chamber, Main Street and tourism are all underneath that umbrella. Ardmore is all underneath the umbrella of the chamber.
Ardmore, you mean when it comes to the economic development? Of course, ours is different.
And every city's different. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
there's, it depends on how their constitution is written.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
What about
Yeah.
Ada? What,
Ada was the one that I was talking about, the Jobs Foundation.
of course, we got a community that's probably doing percentage-wise a little better than either one of those two communities right now. And it's because of the people in Durant.
Broken Bow is also ran by the chamber, their tourism department, Curtin County, part of the chamber.
I don't know anything about them, what they do. I know they got lots of cabins up in the hills.
Bunch of them. And we're gonna have those soon, not cabins, but condos. Guys, it's 5:08. We have got to move on.
Yeah.
Tammy's gotta go, I do.
All right, so let's, we want to, table this until the next meeting, or no action.
And ask our,
I would like to table it, because then we bring it up next meeting, correct?
If we table it, we have to address that at the
I
next
wanna do
meeting.
that for sure.
and
So-
let's ask our attorney to draw up the clause he was talking about. Because, there's just two of us on here that have got a feel for the money that's coming in right now.
Charles,
Correct.
I've got a question. Do you pay state and city sales tax on when you rent a room?
On top of this.
Okay, so state and city,
In other words, we're paying, what is
you
it,
pay
9.375
yeah, 9.375
plus
plus the
5%.
5%, okay.
And we're the only one in town that's doing that.
Yeah, I know. When Oklahoma passed that, you know, they started, at one time, the restaurants, they've done away with all of it, but the restaurants, and I argued, if you're gonna ding the restaurants, you need to ding Walmart. Walmart gets more out of tourism. I mean, I don't hardly go any place out of town, any place for more than 3 or 4 days, I don't have to go find a Walmart.
Yeah.
One of the
Well,
first stops.
You must be breathing with your mouth open too, like I
Yeah,
am.
yeah.
I didn't mean to offend anybody today with my color, but I had to show my color.
I'm excited about it. I was pulling for OSU too. I mean,
They got a chance of being in the top 4.
yeah.
I do believe to table an item, we have to have an motion.
Huh?
Got prejudice, you wanted something like that. Nobody else wanted
Is that correct?
Well, I mean, that's all I had clean.
I don't think you do.
Right.
All right, okay.
Okay.
I think you just
I believe, yes, to
we-
table an item, there needs to be a
Table
motion.
this until the next meeting, and we want our attorney to put a bailout clause in there in case, people quit coming to rent rooms.
I'll make a motion to that
People quit
effect.
having affairs and renting rooms.
I'll make a motion to the effect that we're tabling it until the next meeting, and we request our attorney to draw us a clause up like he was talking about, and these people are driving me nuts.
Can I ask the attorney something before it's voted on? Could we possibly call a special meeting, because that's going to fall, our date for our regular scheduled meeting is between Christmas and New Year's.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could
You
we,
can call a special meeting for
Why
just
can't
about.
Why can't we just call the meeting before Christmas, before Christmas,
oh, that's why I was asking
and not
him.
have one in between?
I think we have to officially
have-
have one to say there's not a quorum. Is that correct?
What was it?
We have to
No, you can-
officially,
You can change the date by doing a certain kind of notice. But it has, we're gonna have to get the notice out pretty quick. I'm not even sure whether we can meet it or not, but maybe we can.
How many guys on the notice? 15?
Yeah, it's somewhere around a couple of weeks or so
That's fine, we can get it.
to change the date. See, we made the date up this time last year,
So we can make it up to the 20th or the 18th
if we
now.
do it right away.
Okay, so what do you have to do?
Well, we'll have to get the open meeting.
could you look at that and let us know?
I'll have to look and see what it is to move, I mean, I know you can move it back, but to move it up, I'd have to look and see what the notice requirement
You
is.
can move it either way, but you've gotta give a certain notice.
Okay. Moving it back is easy. Moving it forward may be more complicated.
It's a whole lot more time than what you normally do for notice. Because supposedly there's somebody out there that wants to come to our meeting that looked it up at the county clerk's office.
All right, okay, we've discussed that. We've got,
We never did vote.
We got a motion, and we got a second.
we have to vote?
Yeah.
Table it?
We have a motion
Yeah.
and a second.
Okay,
Yep. Okay.
okay.
Trustee Calhoun?
Yes.
Trustee Cross? Trustee Shattuck?
Yes.
Trustee Thorpe?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Reed?
Abstain.
Chairman Scher?
Yes. All right, that leaves a report from the Choctaw Nation Tourism Department. Anything? No.
They did not have anything this
Okay.
month.
Wrap up from the Rodeo Southeastern.
It was included in the packets,
Yeah.
starts on page 17 and is the rest of your packet. So if you need some reading material, you've got plenty of pages of it. They had a great event like they always do. They had about 1,980 in attendance. All of the hotels in Durant were at full capacity that weekend.
Did the
So great event as
hotel-
always.
Did the hotel people feel the difference with them in town?
We always feel the difference on that. They always take care of us, fill us up. This is pure tourism for us.
Okay.
All the motels get filled up.
I even got a little bit of business out of it, not
Yes.
much, but a few tables.
I just like the way they itemize everything that they did. We don't have to worry about them using the money somewhere else. They take care of it.
All right.
They've did an excellent job since day one.
Is there any new business? No, all right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I beat you.
Okay. Trustee Calhoun?
Yes.
Trustee Cross? Yes. Trustee Shattuck?
Yes.
Trustee Thorpe?
Yes,
Vice Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Chairman Scher?
Yes.
turn the microphones off.